Welcome to the Creator Podcast. And I'm so excited today I get to sit here and talk to you about things that are happening in my life right now. Things that are, troubling, some things that are amazing, and just open up and have a conversation. And the purpose of the Creator Podcast was really just to remind people that they are a creator. They've been created in the image of God, and God loves them. And you have more capabilities and things you never could really consider. So today I want to talk about some of the feedback and the reminder of how I was created and how I am a creator myself. And it happened when someone was listening to another podcast. My wife Amber and I, we have the matrimonial merger, and we talk a lot about just marriage and some of the same things we'll discuss on this channel of podcasting platforms. And I got invited to go to a networking lunch, BNI or Chamber of Commerce type of lunch. And I'm not going to lie, I was kind of skeptical. I just have never really seen the value of a BNI or a Chamber of Commerce group. And it's mainly because I was looking at it from such a unique lens, the lens of I'm not getting it right now. Like I'm not getting any leads or I haven't done anything. And I was kind of narrow minded in the thoughts of like, I've never gotten a lead. I've never really established relationships. And it was just kind of like everyone, like the vibe I perceived. Now, I'm not saying this is true, but what I perceived is that the vibe was everyone was better than everyone and everyone was just there to like sell and pitch. And in the world of real estate, that's just not how it goes. It's a long-term game to get leads out of a BNI group or a Chamber of Commerce. So I never really saw the value in it. Probably because I was just insecure myself and not looking at it from a different lens, like we talked about. And so I went in today. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to do it. This gentleman's been inviting me to a couple meetings, and I'm like, what do I have to lose? Like, I'm going to go, I'm going to talk to some amazing people. And I changed the entire scope of how I, you know, went in and networked. I didn't go in as Jesse, the real estate agent. I just went in as, a business coach and, entrepreneur that owns a couple businesses. Not a big deal. And I kind of put that ego aside and just changed my perception on things. So, anyways, went to Texas Roadhouse, and someone started asking me like, why are you only eating like dry chicken? And I told them like I'm on a mission to get 10% body fat. And I didn't really go for me. I just went to learn about other people and invested in other people. And I challenged myself. I just said, you're not going to talk about you this entire time. We're just going to talk about other people. And I kind of pushed my beliefs a little bit. Like, so used to talking to people about me, especially in a meeting where it's like, we're going to talk about your business and what you do. Like, isn't that what this whole thing's designed? And I just started to change my belief system around this network. Um, and so interesting, like I just asked a lot of people and became a little bit more resourceful and just encouraged people, used what's called an embedded suggestion. And anytime someone said something they're working on, I'd say, oh my gosh, you're going to see massive success, or oh my gosh, you are going to do it and it's going to be easier for you than you ever thought. And I started to just embed suggestions to help promote a positive environment for people. um it was different, and it was ironic, like, for those that, you listen to me a little bit, you'll find that, like, I am very much in tune with, like, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And so we were playing this game where we rolled the dice, and the dice was, based off it was 3 different dices, I don't know, but 3 different dice you had to roll, and it would give you a number, and you would read the question, and that was your platform. That was your time to speak. And so I rolled the dice, and there was all sorts of different questions, right? One of them was like, how do you manage feedback in your business? How do you market your business? And mine, by the grace of God, by the grace of the universe, it landed on, telling your story. So I didn't even go in with the expectation of sharing my story. And yet here I am in this moment going, oh crap. I told myself I wasn't going to talk about me to other people, but now it's my turn. And so I got very real with them. I told them my story, like what happened, why I got into doing what I do. And I told them, I just said, listen, like 2 years ago, my wife looked at me and she said, I don't know you anymore. You've lost your identity. You don't even know who you are. And that moment scared the heck out of me. Like it changed my whole life. It flipped upside down. I get a little emotional talking about it. And it scared me. It really did. She looked at me and, we're fighting in this car, in this old 2007 Toyota Tundra that we just had forever. That thing was just a beast on and was never going to die. Like, and we're sitting in this truck and she just tells me this, fighting in front of our 2-year-old or 3-year-old daughter at the time. And she's just like, you've lost your identity. I don't know who you are. You don't even know who you are. And it scared me, literally scared me. And so that was kind of the story. And we'll go down that road a little more in another podcast. But it was so interesting that the dice fell on question number 10. And number 10 was to tell your story about how you got into your line of work. And so I did. And man, was it crazy. I literally could feel energy coming from my fingertips, radiating the table. And it was my time to shine. And it felt like, some people will call it the spirit. It feels like, some people will call it just destiny or like an energy exchange, whatever you call it. It was real. And it was like, although we were in this busy restaurant, all these people talking, it was the most quiet environment I've ever been in where I could just speak. And it was interesting. One of the ladies that was there, she had to have been, at the older age of life. And I don't know what she's been through and I can't judge, but she just said, okay, great. Now let's talk about more important things. Let's talk about, Leprechaun's Day, which is tomorrow. And I don't, naturally, once again, going back to that belief, I would have been like, who the heck do you think you are? Like, I just shared this amazing story and I would have felt discredited. But no, I just accepted that and I acknowledged that this was the model of her world. Like, and maybe she felt very uncomfortable with that story. Maybe that hit emotional strings that she never experienced before, or that she was too afraid to address herself. And, after sharing that story and continuing the rest of the lunch, I got in my car and I just felt overwhelmed. Like, I, I'm getting emotional right now. Just felt overwhelmed at the insane amount of gratitude I had for that moment. Now, keep in mind, like, if you knew me a year ago or 2 years ago, and I'll tell my story on another podcast another day, but if you had known me, you would have been like, "Who is this guy? Like, this is completely different." And it's because I've been on this journey of creating my life the way I want it to be. I want to be less of an individual that talks about himself. I want to be more of an individual that is focused on serving and giving back to other people. I want to be an individual that like impacts people not for money, but for goodness and then like greatness in their life. And so as I've been focusing on those things and doing different things to improve me, that happened today. And it was a tender mercy, it was gratitude moment, and it really affected me, as you can tell. If you're watching, you can see me like pretty much crying like an emotional person in front of a camera. Like I had just done something amazing, but it was amazing to me. It was important to me. And that's where, I wanted to share with you today that moment. You see, we're all in different areas of our life. We're all in different versions of us. And I don't necessarily fault people for being at different versions that are different ideas or values in their life right now. That's their model of the world. That's what's important to them. But we're all in this together. Like every one of us has these feelings. And Some of us look at small moments like this and just feel this over amount of energy and emotion. And then other people are like, wow, that's cool. But like understanding the grow up and the growth behind all of the things that have happened in the last 2 years, understanding where I was to where I'm at now. That's the true meaning of life is that eternal progression. And it all started with that change of thought, that change of belief. And I want you to consider that. Like, what belief are you holding on to that maybe isn't serving you anymore? For 2 years plus, I've had this thought that BNI groups, that marketing network meetings with other people and sitting down at a table and just passing out cards for years, I held on to this belief that this wasn't like for me. And yet the greatest thing that happened today in my entire day is the fact that here I am sitting talking about that moment. So for years I've held on to this belief that this is not for me, and yet here I sit going, "Oh my gosh, it actually was for me. It's been for me the entire time." But it was just my thought. It was my insecurities. It was that moment of, dog eat dog. And I mean, I can pinpoint exactly where that came from. It's, growing up, my dad, who literally being a drug addict of a father, like it always talked about it's a dog eat dog world out there. Like you've got to be the best. You've got to push. You've got to grind. You've got to, literally had me running on a treadmill for basketball because I needed to get better. And I remember like getting physically roughed up on a basketball court playing one on one against him because you just had to get better. And so I viewed everyone and everything as competition. And today I'm grateful for the moment of recognizing that like it was a change of belief. It was that change of thought. My allowing of a different environment and the way I saw that environment from this different lens or this different thought had a huge impact on me of something that was good. Made me feel better. Letting go of those beliefs are hard. Those ideas or those assumptions, that's all they are. An assumption of what you think that environment is. But what if it was just a magical lie? What if that environment had something better? And I learned that today. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I appreciate you listening and hope that you found this story, this learning for me to be something valuable in your life. I definitely know that there are things that every one of us goes through. And whatever you're going through, I just want you to know that you have someone that cares. Now, if you could do me the favor and give me your honest feedback of this show, if I struck an emotional chord or share it with a friend, do something good with this. Who knows? Maybe this show will touch the life of someone else in a dramatic way. This is the Creative Podcast with Jesse Fisco. I hope you have a fantastic day.